Good afternoon, class. You are welcome to today's class, and the topic for this session is control socials. So we'll be looking at control socials. So what are control socials? Control socials control the flow or decision making in a program. They determine what code runs, when and how often. That is what control social is. And control socials are programming constructs for controlling the flow of execution of a program and change the behavior of the program accordingly. So, and control social enable the programmer to specify the order in which program are to be executed. That is, skip some part of the code, repeat some part of the code, transfer of code to another program. So we have two major categories of control social that we'll be looking into in this study session. We have the selection structure. The selection structure we say is the conditional control structure. It's used to make decisions. Execute code based on condition. That is for selection structure. And we have repetition structure. That of repetition structure we say is looping iteration control structure. This structure repeats code multiple times until a condition is met. That is what selection structure is. So we'll be looking in deep into selection structures. So I've said earlier that selection structure enable conditional execution of code. That is, code make decision depending on a condition being met. So it make decision depending on the condition being met. So that is what selection structure is. And the program select one. The program in selection structures select one of two or more possible paths depending on the outcome of an already tested conditions. So let's see the figure below this diagram here, the flow of execution of how under selection structure, how it goes. This is a condition in this figure, figure here, this diagram here, and the condition, if the condition in this decision statement, in this decision making statement, if the condition is true, you go and execute your program, your code. And if the condition is not true, if the condition is false, you do nothing. You just leave it like that. That means the condition is false. So, and the condition of necessity be a statement that evaluates to a boolean, and boolean condition statement is either true or false. So, and we have several constructs that can be used to achieve such condition execution code. So let's look at Python. Python for the selection structure. So do you want to look at example of how we make use of Python code, Python programming in selection control structure? Like we have, because we have the if statement, under the conditional statement, that is the selection statement, we have the if statement. And if statement executes a block of code only if a condition is true. Let's see the example here. Like this a variable s, like this a data type s here. We have equal to integer, raw input, enter a number. So you enter a number, convert it to an integer, because if you want to enter the number, we convert it as integer because we declare it to be integer, input, enter a number. So, and now our if statement condition, if the data type s greater than is 0, if it is greater than 0, print s is positive. So if the condition is true, if this condition is true, then the intended statement gets executed, and if not, nothing will happen. If the statement is not true, nothing will happen. So let's see another second form of our types of subtypes of under a selection control structure. That's the conditional statement. We have the another form is if else statement. The first one is if statement, and the second form is if else statement. The if else statement provide an alternative execution in which there are two possibilities and the condition determine which one get executed. So the if else statement executes one block of code if a condition is true, and a different block if the condition is false. Let's see the example here. Like we have the syntax here, this same example, the variable s equal to int, raw input, enter a number, and the if statement condition, if s is greater than 0, print s is positive. So another condition which is else, otherwise if the condition is not, maybe it's not true, maybe it's not relevant to the first one, print s is not a positive number. So we can see that it executes one block of code if a condition is true, and a different block if it is blocked. So the different block is the s condition, s statement, and the first block is the if statement. So we can see in this code example. So, and sometimes there are more than two possibilities and hence more than two parts of execution. So we can see in cases where we have two possibilities, I mean two conditional statements, and more than two parts of execution. So we can see that we have the if else condition. So we have it, that means it's three conditions. The if statement, is three types: the if statement, the if statement, and the else statement. We will be looking at in this. I will say it allow for multiple conditions. It tests for multiple conditions sequentially. So, and the first condition that I evaluate to be true, we have its corresponding block of code executed, and the rest are skipped. So let's see what we are talking about from this code example. We have the same example, the variable s equal to int, raw input, enter a number, and the if statement condition, if s is greater than 0, print s is positive. That is the first type, first condition, which is if statement. Another form, if statement, that is if the variable s equal to 0, print s is 0. That is the second form of statement, if. And else, if these two conditions, if these two conditions are not possible, so we go to the next one, which is the else. Print otherwise, print s is a negative number. We have done that in 201. I'm just trying to which is introductory to Python programming. I'm just trying to recall your memory about that so that you can remember and we're able to compare it with PHP. So we'll be looking at PHP as well for each of these statements, each of these conditional statements. So, and we can see that elif is an abbreviation of elsif. So when we see elif in Python is an abbreviation of elsif, and we are to take note that only one branch will be executed. So it's only one branch, which is maybe the if statement, s greater, print s is positive. So we take note that only one branch will be executed, and there is no limit to the number of SE statements. So, and if there is an else clause, it has to be at the end. So you can see from all the programming we have been written in Python programming to just to Python. So if there is any else clause, it has to be at the end. So, but it is not compulsory that there must be. So we have one conditional statement can also be nested or embedded within another. So we have this conditional statement that can be nested or embedded within another. In this programming code, we have the same code s int s variable equal to int raw input, enter a number. If s is less than 0, print s is negative. S otherwise print s is not a positive number. We can see that if is nested is nested within another if with the if again, if s modulus 2 equal to 0, print s is an even number, s print s is an odd number. So, and we have other conditional statement that contain two branches. The outer conditional statement containing two branches, which are with the first branch contain a simple statement, and the second branch contain another if statement which has two branches of its own. And we have Python also recently include ternary conditional expression, and these conditional statements are written on a single line. So we can see the example of this conditional statement written on a single line. We have the same code, the same example code. Print number is positive after you enter a number for s, and the if statement, if s is greater than 0, s number is negative. You can see this statement, this conditional statement is written on a single line. So we can as well practice that. So how this conditional statement is written on a single line, that's what we include ternary conditional. So we are done with Python for the selection conditional statement that have the subtype, the type if statement, if else statement, and if early if else statement. So we want to look at that of the PHP as well to compare it with the Python we have already discussed, analyzed. So we want to look at the PHP, the if statement in PHP. So the if statement shares the truthfulness of an expression, and if the expression is true, evaluate a statement, and if evaluate to false, it will ignore it. So it's similar to that of the Python that executes a block of code only if a condition is true, and this one too, if the condition or the expression is true, you evaluate the statement. So we can see it's similar to that of the PHP, or is similar to that of the Python. It's just the syntax, the rules, the syntax of how you write in PHP, the code in PHP. The syntax is the one that is different from the way you wrote, the way we wrote that of the Python, but it's still the same condition for if statement that we use to write it. So we have the PHP, the less than question mark PHP, if $sign for the variable user input greater than, if the user input greater than 0, open bracket, echo. I said in our last lecture that echo means output of your program, output of a code, of a particular line of code. It's display output. So echo means output. So echo, the number is positive. So that is for if statement, that if the expression is true, you evaluate the statement. So that is for the first if statement, or the first statement under selection control structure. So to specify alternative statement to execute when the expression is false, that is, execute a statement if a certain condition is met, and a different statement if the condition is not met. So if a condition is met, you execute that statement, that particular statement. You execute it if the condition is met, and if it's otherwise different statement, if it may be a different statement, the condition is not met, so you use the else keyword. That is where the else keyword comes in. So we have the example of what we are saying about the if else, maybe different condition. So we have php greater or equal to php to start, and if $sign, I said earlier, any variable will always start with this $sign in php. So user input, user underscore input greater than 0, open parenthesis bracket, echo print. Echo means output in php. Print echo, the number is positive, so we close the bracket. Else, otherwise, if the condition is false, so else echo the number is not positive. So that is for the two conditional statement, the two statement, if statement and the else statement. For that of the php, you can see it's similar, is related to each other, for Python and PHP. So and else if, as its name suggests, is a combination of if and else, which is almost the same thing in Python, but just that Python you write it ELIF, but in PHP you write it in full else if. So which is the combination of if and else. Like else, it extends an if statement to execute a different statement in case the original if expression evaluates to false. And unlike else, it will execute that alternative expression only if the else if condition expression evaluates to true. Let's see what code example. So we have our starting with the PHP. Let's question mark PHP. So if the user input, the $user input greater than 0, echo the output, generate the output, the number is positive. Else if, you can say another statement, another conditional statement, else if the user input equal to 0, so echo output, the number is 0. So and else if the two conditional statement, this if statement, else if the two conditional statement is not possible, else generate the output, echo the number is negative, you close the parenthesis. So the ternary conditional operator can be used to shorten simple true or false text. So we can see it's similar as that of the Python programming language using the ternary conditional operator. And we can see I've said it in Python programming code that we have checked, that is always the ternary conditional operator is in single line, can write it in a single line. We can see the example starting with the PHP echo user input greater than 0, question mark, the number is positive, the number is not positive. You can see it's in a single line of code. So we look at the switch statement. The switch statement is similar to a series of if statements on the same expression. So when you see switch statement in PHP, is similar to a series of if statements on the same expression. So and a switch statement is given an expression, compare its value to all cases in the switch, and all statements in the matching case are executed up to the first break keyword it pans. And if none matches, a default is given. All statements following the default keyword are executed up to the first break keyword encounter. So let's see the code. The other one, a default, after the default that output the input is valid, it break. But in the alternative one, it end the switch. That end the class for today. We continue with another type of selection, repetition control structure, which is repetition control structure.